clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of seven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. The clouds of heaven.
All right, welcome everybody. We're here live tonight. Good to be with you. Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2. Let's go here. Make sure we get it all turned up really good. All right, there we go. And we're here tonight. Good to be with you tonight. It is Monday night. Hallelujah. And we're alive and well. Yeah, how about that? That's surprising. Shouldn't be. Hopefully it's not. Okay. All right. Let me know what's going on. If you have anything special happening with you, let me know about that. I would love to talk about it or check it out or something or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I have a little bit of a gnat problem or a fruit fly. I have a lot of fruit, and I think I have a nest of them. I'm trying to get rid of them. So pray for my nesting fruit flies that they all pass away quickly, one way or the other. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about the economy and the crash that we've talked about before. We're going to give some very specific information on that tonight. So get in and try to listen to it if you can. And we will share some very specific information tonight about that. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I haven't seen that until I think this weekend. I have a lot of things shown to me over the weekend for some reason. I don't know why exactly, but I have a gnat problem, so I have me a gnat swatter, kind of a fly swatter, but I call it a gnat swatter because I have gnats that are fruit flies, I think, that get into my fruit, and I don't see it until they've had 3 families, and then I'm like, oh wow, what happened? All right, we're going to talk about the economy tonight and some definite things that have already happened, and the whole world knows about it. We just never connected it. I never connected it together. We're going to do that tonight, and so we'll get ready for that. Yeah. Okay. Let me look at something here real quick. Okay, let me do this here. Okay. Hang on a second. I'm going to work on something. Make sure I get something right. Just a second here. All right. All right. Sweating just a little bit here. Wow. Okay. All right. We're going to talk about some of this stuff tonight. And I saw some new information this weekend that revealed to me, uh, how the crash of the market began the about the week of October the 13th. I now have that for the first time. I've never had that information until this weekend, and it's obvious everybody knows about it, really. But just putting it together was shocking, actually. And so you're gonna love it, I think. Yeah, I think you're gonna love it, and it's really confirmation for me because it all began around October the 13th, 2023, as we gave the word, actually got the word 2 years in advance that the crash would begin in 2023, October the 13th, 2023, right? And so this weekend, I just, going across some stuff and I realized pieces of the puzzle, right? We're putting pieces of the puzzle together because when you put pieces of the puzzle together, that's how you see things, right? Until you put them together, you really don't know that those three little pieces over there in the corner of the puzzle are very important, but they're kind of lost in everything. And all of a sudden, you see it and you go, wow, and you grab them and you put them in there and you go like, whoopee, what is that? And that's what happened to me this weekend is I got three or four pieces of the puzzle together. And it was shocking to see that what it linked back to. I mean, no doubt about it, no question, no stretching the imagination about it, or you don't even have to get into the imagination in this one. You can just have, the news and the information that we gave, and you'll see it really, really plain and clear. So let's get ready to do that. Let's get ready to do that now. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here, what I want to share first. Okay, so number one, first of all, we're going to document this right tonight, and as a confirmation of information that we gave um, for October the 13th, 2023. Let me put that up there. Make sure I don't misquote that. Okay, there we go. All right. So we were talking about the October 13th, 2023 crash, the beginning of the crash. I did not know it was going to be how long it was going to take to crash. I just figured it would happen within a few months, a few weeks, like other ones that we've given. But I knew this one was unique because number one, he would not let me tell anybody, the date. I couldn't tell anybody the date until the date came and went by for a few days. I think maybe a couple of days, and I realized, wow, this is really weird because we had a war. The war started with Israel on October the 7th, which was my birthday, as you know. That's why I can always remember that. Let me put that in there too. Hang on 1 second. Okay. All right. So we have this, and we have uh, October 13th, 2023, that the crash was going to begin. Right. I didn't know how it was going to unfold. And that's one of the reasons I figured that out later, that we couldn't tell anybody beforehand the date, which is very, very, it's just, I don't think I've ever done that before. I don't think God's ever stopped me from giving the date. Now I know why, because people would have tried to work that. They would have messed themselves up, pretty good. And financially, that is. And we've had people that are in the market realm. So hang on a second here. I'm going to get this right. Oh, you know what? I'm not even on. I'm not on. Hang on a second here. I thought I was on here, and I'm not. Hang on a second. Welcome to Turbo Bridge. Please enter. The
conference is in presentation mode. Your line is muted. The conference will begin when the host arrives. I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. You are now a host.
I apologize. I thought I was.
Call is being recorded. Line unmuted.
I thought I was on turbo and I was not. I thought I had it going on and I didn't. So I apologize for that. Anyway, so we are on there now. So thank God we made it. It's definitely Monday already, man. It's definitely showing up to be a Monday for me. No way about it. Yeah, it's really wild and crazy. What is this? That is definitely not the one that I want. All right, so we are now ready to do this, I think. I apologize. I thought I was on turbo and I was not on turbo.
You are the last party in the conference. I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing.
All right, we are on. All right, we are on. Yes, sorry about that. All right, so thank you for being here, and we are on turbo now. So I just realized I had messed that up and wasn't even on it. That's not unusual for me, is it? No, it is not. Okay, so we are on video, of course. You can watch us on there. You can also call in to the number on the screen there below, 432-888-8050, and get on with us on turbo to listen to that. That is definitely on now. I know we missed a couple of people on that, but we are there. Okay, so some people like doing both. Some people just like doing the phone call. So whatever you like. There we got it. Okay, so tonight we're talking about the financial crash and giving you specific information on why the Lord told me in 2023 that the crash for the market, the global market, was going to begin, not just the U.S., but the global market. If you remember any of that, I'm sure most of you do. That date was, again, October the 13th, 2023. Okay, the crash would begin. All right, so what happened a few days before that, October the 7th, 6 days before that, was when the war started in Israel, and it was really, really crazy that it started on my birthday, October the 7th, and then 6 days later it became October the 13th, which was the day. So now I know why they are connected, and so I'm going to share that with you right now. It's really, really simple when you see it, but I just never saw it until a couple of days ago, this weekend. What was the first real financial threat of collapse of the global economy? Does anybody know what the first real financial threat globally that everybody knew about? The threat to our economy. When did that happen? Right? Anybody know when that happens? If you want to text that to me, you can do that. Whatever you want to do there. Yeah, so you can do that with me if you'd like. There you go. Okay, so I have a fruit fly problem that I've had some fruit sitting out, and I let it sit there too long, and a bunch of fruit fly families gathered around it and started having families. So now I'm having to deal with them. So you see me swing this thing around, you're going to know it's not my sword. It's a fly swatter or a fruit. I don't have fly problems at all. I have a fruit fly problem. They're little bitty things and they're rascals. Okay, so let's go with this thing. So, okay, not sure. Okay, Angela says she's not sure. Okay, that's what I'm going to connect tonight. Most everybody knows what it is, but like you and like me, I didn't put it together because what we gave a word of about October the 13th is going to be a global financial crash, right? A global financial crash. So when it hits, it's going to hit global, and it's going to begin on that date. Now, beginning means a process, right? So beginning on a date, you say, I'm going to begin to come to New York and you live in California. I'm going to begin I'm on my way tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then you kind of start heading that way and you don't know exactly when you're going to get there. You stop and eat, you stop and spend the night somewhere. You go on a little, out in the open woods, look at the woods in Texas and, you stop and you do all these different things. And so the process is, uh, you know, it's a process. And so even though I didn't understand that exactly, I knew that in the information that I got that it was going to start on that date. That what happened was it did start on that date, and I'm going to show it to you tonight, and it's mind-boggling, and it's global, and it's all over the news. It's not me. It's not something brand spanking new. It's just a matter of putting it together. All right, so actually, the financial crash, the trigger point was one of the trigger points was October the 7th when the war with Iran began, right? I mean, with Hamas and Israel had all of the murders and things, the raping and the pillaging and the killing of their people. The Hamas terrorists came out of the tunnels and just, you know, man, they just terrorized the joint. And it was horrific, and the whole world was heard about it. It was really horrible. That was October the 7th, 2023. 6 days later was October the 13th, which is when it took a few days, about 6 days. That's about 6 days into it. So 6 days later is when the crash was going to begin to unfold. So, so what is the first thing? I want to ask the question again. You don't have to answer it. You don't have to say you don't know. But what is the first shutdown of the global economy? When did that happen? In the last couple of years, right? It's 2026. October is the end of 2023. So October 2024 is 1 year. October 2025 is 2 years. So it's been 2 years. So about 2 years into it, through a working of a process of the war that went on, right? So the war began when Hamas attacked Israel. And so developing a few days, and then the word of the Lord was October the 13th, 2023, which is 6 days later. And so on June the 13th, 2025, Iran got involved for the first time ever. And attacked Israel for the first time themselves. That had never happened, ever. Iran has never personally attacked Israel. They attacked them through Hamas, through a lot of other places, through a lot of other things, but they never attacked them personally, like they bombed them on the 13th of June. I just hit myself in the face with that thing. So on June the 13th, 2025, Iran made a historic rupture in the Middle East, right? They transitioned from proxies confronting Israel to a state-to-state warfare from Iran directly to Israel. That was a first. And so now was going to begin the phase of they took down the Hamas. Let me get that up here too also. Hang on a second. All right. So Israel on February the 28th, 2026, bombed and killed the supreme leader, right? The leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He was killed along with about 40 other people. And so that all happened in about 1 minute. They decapitated the through Mossad, using Mossad and some with the CIA. Thank God for the CIA. they killed officials. They killed about 40 officials, key military people, in about 60 seconds. They killed them just like that. So that took it to a new phase, right? So we're heading toward the global crash information, where we have a not something where we're guessing about what inflation is going to do, and inflation is bad here and inflation is bad there, and we're not doing some guesswork on things, although that is very relevant. We're doing putting the puzzle together tonight of actual information that even says global crash, global shutdown of the economy. So when did that happen? February 28th, that Israel killed their supreme leader and 40 other people. And so what did they do? It evolved right into when Israel began to when the United States took on the Strait of Hormuz, right? The Strait of Hormuz. And so let's see here. Trying to get the dates exactly right so I don't mess us up at all. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to get hang on a second. I want to get this. All right. So on yeah. Okay, so that was in February. On March the 4th, 2026, is when the Hormuz was shut down, right? And so not long after that is when we started getting information of the global crash of the market began with gasoline and oil, right? So um, so that's when all of this really began, as far as manifesting itself as a global crash. And so we saw it all start. When did it all start? Because we gave the word that it's going to begin, the crash is going to begin to unfold on October the 13th, 2023. Well, Israel was started the war, or Hamas started the war, or whatever. They started warring against each other on October the 7th. And so what happened was, that was, when you look back at it, that is the very reason October the 7th, and then 6 days later saying the crash would begin. It all happened within the 6 day period. October the 7th began the war, and then 6 days later was the date that I got that the crash would begin. And so now we saw a process of war began, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, Iran is about 2 years later. Iran is hitting Israel on purpose, all by themselves. They bombed them on June the 13th, 2025. And then, and so the crash started when that all began. Nobody knew that it was going to begin the crash. Now, we don't have a crash, but we have the most major threat of a global economic crash through what happened on October the 7th, because that's what began all of it. Then October the 13th, 6 days later, is when the word I got 2 years in advance in 2021, late 2020, late 2020 and early 2021, somewhere in there. And so, so when it didn't happen automatically, and I wasn't able to announce the exact date beforehand, which I normally do on every economic market situation that we have, I've always told the information to everybody all the time. And that one, the Lord would let me do it. I couldn't figure out why. So now I see, because the strategy and the timing on the fall had to work through the Israel, Iran, or Hamas war. And that is what got the Straits of Hormuz to shut down, right? That's what happened. That's what started all of this. Is because they all went to war, and then the United States got involved in it, and the United States started, doing some things with the Straits of Hormuz, and pretty soon, without going into all the details to confuse everybody, all of a sudden, what we have is we have a announced globally a very real thing, because all of a sudden our gas prices started shooting way up. Groceries were already up. Groceries were already up. They weren't. The thing is, we already had some economic issues going on. Of course, Trump blamed Biden, and of course, Biden blames Trump. They all blame each other. So it doesn't really matter. But we're still having. I don't know about you, but when I go to the grocery store, it's like crazy, man. It's like, wow, I used to pay $50 for something. Now I'm paying $120, for stuff, and you don't get that much. It depends on what you're getting. But it's been really, really wild. And so we already had an obvious financial issue because of the food prices, right? And Trump trying to say he's going to fix it and it's going to happen. Well, he never has really fixed it yet. He's helped with some things, thank God, and he's done better. And he's gotten this money from the oil world and from the Arabs and that kind of thing. And he's bragged about how much he got in. And I think it's true. But the point is that we already had a problem with food prices. And then in March, at the end of February, February, March, it's definitely March. March is when the oil prices began to go up like they haven't been in a long time. And everything started going up higher than it was already. And the globe, all the news, everybody knew we're fixing to have a possible definite crash of the economy. And when did it all begin? When the war started with Israel. And then 6 days later was October the 13th. I just put all that together this weekend, y'all. For some reason, it just all clicked. For some reason, I just saw all of it like, whatever. I don't know how to explain when I see things. But I'm going, wow, this is amazing. So does that mean that I know when it's going to do its thing? As we have talked about before, right now they're finding out that, as we said 6 months ago, that China and Russia and really Iran and others were working together to try to push us off the edge, knowing that we had that Biden came in and really did some really dumb stuff. And when he did that dumb stuff, we started having problems. He started, turning everything to green, to do the green revolution, that kind of thing. And nothing wrong with the green revolution in some ways, but really shutting down oil. Let's don't go through the whole thing right now, but so, I'm trying to stay on track here. So what's happening is that we now have a definite confirmation and pieces of the puzzle put together that it truly did start at that time, October the 13th, or 6 days before it kind of hit. And then for some reason, I don't know why, the 13th was the day God gave me 2 years in advance. And the war started a few days before, 6 days before that. So we can see the combination there, a combination plate going on. And then little by little, as the war hit, they ended up with the Straits of Hormuz. It started being revealed that the Straits of Hormuz, when it's controlled by Iran, they can create a global economic crash very fast, because the world is dominated by oil prices. Because it doesn't just, oil prices do not just affect gasoline. They affect, how much gas you have to pay to deliver the food to your grocery store. And the grocery store has to start paying the truck drivers more money because they got to buy higher gas. And just one thing leads to another, plus a whole domino effect of a bunch of other things. So what we've had is already a food problem. Prices of food were up before October the 13th, right? That kind of began to develop. And then Trump comes into office. And, as he did, he said, I'm going to fix everything. I want to fix it. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a war. And that war caused the Straits of Hormuz to be exposed. that anytime Iran wanted to, they could shut it down and create a global economic crash to control the world. That is their plan. China and Russia are now proven to be helping Iran to drag this thing on. That's pretty much a fact. And Trump doesn't want to admit it because it means a lot of things. So, but if you talk to most people talk about it on the news. I'm talking about the news that like Republican news, right? The conservative news. So actually, the food problems we already had before October 13th, 2023 began, that little did we realize that the Straits of Hormuz would be shut down, which would cause a well-known, publicly addressed, money out of your pocket crash beginning to happen. So now Trump has been having to play a role and walk the tightrope on how he deals with this Strait of Hormuz thing, because as soon as, again, last week, when they started doing, 13 days? 13, does that mean anything to you? 13 days of fighting again? What happened? Well, the gas prices, again, went straight up, right? So Iran knows all this, right? They've known it for a long time. A lot of people have known it, but they have been trying to prepare. Iran has been trying to prepare themselves with Russia and China had prepared themselves and others getting together to, at the right time, because everything's about time, at the right time, we will do this thing and we will dominate the world in a few days, in a few months, easily in a few months. And so that was the plan. And you can see how it began to be orchestrated when the Straits of Hormuz went down. And now, as we're finding out, there have some very good evidence that Russia and China are definitely helping Iran to drag this thing out, so that Trump has to, threaten the economy every other month or whatever, however long it. So what we have now is like every other month, the threat, the global threat, actually coming into our pocketbooks is hitting us about every one or 2 months or 3 months. However, I don't have the dates on that. But this is literally came together for me this weekend, showing me that this has literally already happened, and I just hadn't seen it yet. Where the buildup in the beginning of it, the reason the Lord said it's going to begin then is because that's what happened. It all began then because that's what caused the Straits of Hormuz to be closed. Plus, we already had financial issues. That caused a global financial issue, right? When did that begin? When the war started with Hamas and Israel, because Hamas is a proxy of Iran, no question about it. Hezbollah and all those other people. So when they had their little thing go on, the red heifer had something to do with some of it. And but as you can see, if you're thinking, if I'm making this clear enough, I don't know if I'm making this clear enough without giving a lot of detailed information. This is just for everybody to see. I mean, this is not even something you have to stretch anything. It all began with Hamas, which is Iran proxy, no doubt about it, and Israel. That war began 6 days later, October the 13th, and it got settled in, and one thing led to another, and pretty soon when Iran attacked Israel on purpose, then Israel did a counterattack on that, and they started bombing Iran's nuclear sites, and that's when the bomb hit that from Israel, and also with Trump, that looked like an earthquake, which we gave that word. And then soon they were taking down the Iran regime. They went in and they went after the Iran regime on February the 28th, 2026. Yeah, 2026. So you can see the progressiveness in what started it all, October the 7th. And the 13th, it began to roll and kicked in. And what started rolling toward this permanent thing of the end times, and the how can I say this? The Middle Eastern world going ablaze. Which, when the Middle Eastern world goes ablaze, it's more of a sign of the end time than it is anything that goes on with America. America has some, portions of that, but mostly 99% of it, the prophetic news is in the Bible is from the Middle East. So on October the 7th is when this fire began to ignite. Why was it global financial? Because that's what started the thing with Iran, and Iran controlled Hormuz. And when we went after them and took out their uh, Khamenei and the supreme leader and 40 of his people in about 60 seconds, I mean, it just blew everybody away. They're going like, oh my gosh, they went into shock. And that took it to a whole other level. That takes to a whole other level and a whole other level. So what is going to save us is, impartial. Of course, it's the Lord. But in the natural realm, we are looking at what we've talked about for months, and that is the gold and silver thing going on with Trump and Texas, and the fact that he has his board of peace that also is a global thing that they're putting together, and now they're working together, and now they're figuring out what to do and how to work together and all that. So it's shaping up and forming so that when China and Russia, however long they linger this Iran war with the United States, I'm gonna show the key to the changing point here in a minute. I'm gonna give you the key point that's gonna change it all here in a little bit. I don't know if they have it all worked out or what, but I'm just gonna tell you what it is. We talked a little bit about it before, but I'm gonna be very specific about it here in just a moment. So this is what's happening. That war has ignited more people talking about the end times, at the end of the end times, more than anything. And then when the Straits of Hormuz got shut down, and then it was known to everybody, according to everybody's pocketbook, and their gas prices going way up, that we realized then that Iran can threaten the world anytime they want to. And this is why you need to pray. We need to pray for President Trump concerning this thing, because the wisdom that they need is that how to take this situation to the other side where Iran doesn't control it anymore, which means getting rid of the regime, which what this whole thing is that we prophesied in 2024 is getting rid of the regime. When you get rid of the regime, you're not going to have this problem anymore. That's the root of this problem, is the regime, because they've known they could control it anytime. So now you made them mad enough, have to really, really get mad to do it, but they manifest itself in taking hold of Hormuz, the Straits of Hormuz, and oil prices and all that, because they know that it's all interconnected. And so they know that their plan was kind of exposed a little bit. Trump kind of came in like nobody else has come in and shocked them a little bit, which was good. I think it's very good when you pray for President Trump, because the things that he's been doing is very good. However, the thing that's going to take it to the other side, where we take the threat away, is what I've told him already here on the show and other ways, that he must allow Israel to be the one who finishes off the regime. For them to take care of the oil stuff and Hormuz and all that, that's Trump has done a great job at that. But if they don't allow Israel, or get Israel, or somehow if the circumstances don't work to where Israel pretty soon does their thing, and when they do their thing, when Israel does their thing, they're going to end it. They're going to bring it to an end. I think Trump, whether he knows it or not, and he probably knows it, he's preparing the way, like John the Baptist, for the Lord God to come through Israel and finish the job. Israel's going to have to finish it. The U.S. is not going to be able to finish it. They're going to have to work together, and Israel's going to have to take the lead, if you will, in their strategy, working with their people, which is, Hamas. They're not working with Hamas. Right. Who are they working with? Not the CIA, Mossad. Yeah. So they're working with Mossad. And so Mossad has been in there for many years. CIA has also been there too, done a great job. But Mossad and Israel are one on this, and they have the top line of strategy and the blessing of God, that if Trump can, and I think it looks like to me, when I look at everything, that they are working toward that. When I hear the news through my lens, I hear them saying, without saying it, that they are preparing for Israel to do the striking. And when they strike, they will strike like of course, the United States will be there to help, and without the United States help, it will be more difficult, of course. And everything the U.S. has been doing in the past few months, trying to keep the market right, and they attack, and then they back off, and they attack again. The reason that's been going attack on and attack off is, which has been very frustrating for me personally. I don't know how you feeling about that. The reason that that this is important is because they hit and they watch, and then they hit again, and they watch and they hit again. It's giving the Mossad some more insight on how to stop and take out the Iran regime, which are the evil people, right? So every time they stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, there is a strategy that I believe that Mossad is taking advantage of, and they're the only ones who really know how to take advantage of it in this particular case with Iran, because they've been there for many, many years. So Israel has to be the one to go in and take it. And when they do, of course, the U.S. will be very happy and proud of their work together. But until that's done, until you see Israel go in and finish it up, it will not be finished up. And so those who listen to this show from Iran, hello, that's what's up. And yeah, that's what's up. So, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I have a lot more things I'd like to talk about, but I love talking about this because it's the prophet realm, right? And the prophet realm is talking about things that matter to your pocketbook and to your spiritual life and to your life in the future, and to understanding that the Bible is literally coming to pass of the end of the end times. And it has been a process that got activated on October the 7th. And by October the 13th, which is 6 days later, there was a full-blown, whether we could see it or not, there was a full-blown development beginning to happen toward bringing all this to a close, so that Iran regime can be taken out by God's grace, using, of course, the wonderful, powerful United States of America and the wonderful, powerful armies of Israel, God using them, God giving them wisdom, and Michael the archangel working, of course. Michael is working. He never talks to me personally, but I have a lot of information that comes in through him. I don't know why they don't like to be known who I'm talking to or what's going on. But so I can't prove that because I say all the time he doesn't talk to me. He doesn't talk to me like literally, but he sends. I get messages that I believe come from him because of the nature of the dream, the nature of the vision, the nature of the revelation that I get is at that level. And then when it comes to pass, it's mind-boggling, including mainly, one of the many ones is the Iran regime being taken out. We gave that in April and May of 2024, and then begin the process of downloading the information through the next few months, if you listen to those shows. So this is about tonight. We're talking about the global crash. The global crash. How is it already manifested? It started when? The answer to it started when was October the 7th. And in a few days, 6-day period, the rolling in the beginning of it, that it didn't end, or they didn't just turn the other cheek, they went after it. And that ignited what happened with Iran attacking them personally. When Israel and the U.S. went after their nuclear sites, that was a really big sign, right? And then on February 28th, 2026, they killed the Ayatollah Khamenei, which was the supreme leader, which was shocking to the whole world that it all happened in about 60 seconds. It was mind-boggling. We're not for war. I'm just telling you, I don't have my opinions about this. Don't matter, but I don't really have any opinions about it. All I'm telling you is what the Lord says is going to happen, and then blame it on Him. Don't blame me for what's happening and the killing and all that. I have nothing to do with any of that. I'm just telling you what's going to happen, so you can deal with it on your own if you like. But so, all right. So let me see if I left out anything. I just went to the basics of the whole thing because I didn't want to spend a lot of time explaining everything and get everything lost. So here's the thing again, one more time, and then I'm going to finish saying it. So when did the crash begin? As far as a global, newsworthy, obvious thing that everybody could see, not some hidden thing in a corner. What was that? That was the Hormuz thing, the Straits of Hormuz, that happened on uh, started like February and March of 2026, and then it became oil prices just went way up, like $1.20 something. How much was it? I can't remember exactly. Uh, Gas went up from over $102 to $106 per barrel. $106. Uh, gas went up to gas prices went up to $4, 4.09 per gallon, and actually went up more than that. And so it began to all happen, and uh, that happened like in March, early March, and so and then the world announced a global economic fear that everyone had that we're going to crash. Iran is going to crash the globe. And sure enough, it is their desire. But the United States has been preparing for this scenario for September of 2026 through the gold and silver is just one part of it. The gold and silver and the Genius Act that Trump passed, as we've talked about many times, for them to be able to make this global gold and silver provision to the whole world by debit card, and so it is, right around the corner. Basically, of course, it's going to take them a little bit to. This is a whole new system. There's a whole new global system they're setting up, right? Y'all understand that, right? This is what has been happening since we prophesied about the debit card back in 2021, 2022, that that Trump is going to be, or somebody, I don't know, it was going to be Trump at the time, was going to, the United States is going to have its own global system. Global. Talk about that for, since 2021, 2022. So we talked about that for a while. So what's happening is that that system that we're talking about with satellite from Elon Musk, now we know it's Elon, is going to be able to take that system global, because we are connected to him. He's a Texas boy. And so, but this whole system it's going to be a brand new system. So that's one thing I think people for the most part don't understand, is that the system that we're talking about with the crash is a brand new system to protect us from it ever happening again. And so that we can help finance and help people from, taking the mark of the beast during the Great Tribulation, which is right around the corner. I know it's hard to believe that. That's what's happening. All this stuff that we're talking about, October the 13th, October 7th, was the igniting point for that. And it all began to unfold after that event happened, right? And it never stopped, and it's not going to stop. So you can't pray that it's going to stop, because it is not going to stop. It may have, the war in Iran may go up and down and all over the place, but it's all heading forward, because nobody can stop it. Trump can't stop it. I don't think he wants to stop it. I think he wants to finish the job. Israel can't stop it. They definitely want to finish the job. Nobody can. Europe can't stop it. Nobody can stop it. It is accelerating. As we said, most people thought when Trump got elected that all the war stuff and all the, hey, when he comes in, man, he's going to save it all and get it. We'll be fine. No, when he came in, God used him to accelerate it. That's the way I'm looking at it. So the acceleration of what we're seeing right now, all of a sudden, within a year or so, year and a half, of things really kicking up, we got a global crash a couple of times already. Like, oh my God, it's all going to fall apart, or everything's going to be caught. And so is that where it's going to go? Eventually, for the world, yes. But the United States is through Trump and through God guiding him, is preparing the way for this brand new system, so that we will disconnect from the whore, or the Revelations 18 prostitute who rides the white bull. She ride a bull. I should ride a bull. Anyway, she's riding something. Yeah. So I'm kidding, but so yeah, come out from among her, my people. and be ye separate. What does that mean? That means we're going to have a set up a whole different system. So what's Trump been doing? What's God been prophesying through us that we're supposed to be doing? Come out from among that system and take some of the wealth of that system and build a brand new system using a different kind of system like gold and silver, debit card, doing things completely different than the dollar being the big thing, right? That's what's all shaping and forming. That's what Trump has been doing through, what he started in 2024 in Texas with the Genius Act, and Texas with the debit card and gold and silver. That all was the system that Trump is building, that God is using him to build for the future the future is coming up right around the corner, right? So the crash is happening progressively. As we can see, we already had food problems, money, by, I don't know about y'all, I think everywhere is like that. And then all of a sudden, within a year or so or two, we had the Strait of Hormuz thing, which was a definite, obvious, global, not just America and not just other countries having problems. The global crash was rattling our cages. Yeah. I'm not saying you're in a cage, but rattling the cages of our country, saying, "Wake up! Listen to what the prophets are telling you." Because the prophets, at least this prophet, is telling you in years in advance what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. Now, the timing of everything, I haven't understood that, but you can definitely see after tonight that it started on October the 4th and October the 13th. That 6-day time period. Boom, the war. 6 days later, October the 13th. God give me that date. Two years in advance, 2020, end of 2020, 2021. Remember, I sent out the card in 2022, beginning of 2022, saying that was because it was going to be in 2023. Now, I couldn't tell anybody that, but I sent that card out to all of our friends saying, we're releasing a prophetic act upon the earth. And then we bought gold and silver in October the 4th, 2023. You notice how that all happened at the same time? October the 4th, 2023, we bought gold and silver at a really good price. It's been 3 days later, October the 7th, the war started. 6 days later, what happened? The date that God gave you, October 13th, kicked in and sealed where we were going. Sealed the whole thing. Yeah. And we prophesied the fall of the Iran regime in 2024, April, May 2024. Again, try to put the puzzle together for you. I'm just putting the puzzle together. That's all I'm doing. And then also prophesying about the bombing of the nuclear site that would look like an earthquake, which is what that bomb that Trump got out there and dropped it on them was penetrated. It was like an earthquake. That's like what I saw. When I saw it, I didn't know what it was. I just know it looked like an earthquake. And so all this has happened already. And that was, and just then the helicopter crash of the president of Iran, happened, not real long after that. And then we announced that the Iran regime is going down. A year and a half later, gone. Now we've got to finish it because it is definitely not finished. But that Iran regime got decapitated, taken out, just like we said. Didn't know how, didn't understand it, but boom, a miracle. Who did it? God used the United States to prepare the way, and Israel's the one who got the information from, they said, the CIA and Mossad to attack right when they did, and they took out that regime, cut off, they decapitated them and most of their big leadership in a few seconds, right? So big thing, big news tonight. Yeah. Hey, y'all know when the prophetic word was given to one of the greatest movie stars in the whole world? He's about in his 50s, I think. Do y'all know how that happened? One of the greatest movie stars in the world had a prophetic word about him doing what he's doing. Anybody know who that is? Anybody know who that is? I know I'm kind of dropping that Hormuz thing and the crash thing to talk about this in a minute, but All right. Denzel Washington is about my age. He was born in 1954. So he is about a year older than me. He is no a year younger than me. He's 72. Denzel Washington is 72. Guess who prophesied to him that he was going to be doing what he's doing? She didn't say he's going to be a movie star, but this lady, she's 71 years old, born December 28, 1954. Denzel Washington, I think, is one of the greatest movie stars of all. And he became, yes, no, Nicole got it. Very good. Nicole got it. Okay. All right. So Denzel Washington, yes. How did you know that? Have you seen the story about that, Nicole? Have you seen the story on how it happened? He was, what, 20 something years old? And let me see. Let me go here and do this. Yeah. Let me share this with you. Denzel Washington recounted that on March the 27th, 1975, while he was struggling as a college student with the 1.7 GPA, now he wasn't doing that well, he was sitting in his mother's beauty parlor as uh, he was about, what, 20 years old, 73. When in 73, I was 18. So he was about 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. He's been struggling with school, wasn't doing that well in school. And a woman named Ruth Green prophesied that he would travel the world and preach to millions of people. He initially thought the prophecy would be fulfilled through his acting career, but later embraced a path of ministry and public witness. So now he is some lady, when he was like 16, 17 years old, he was going through a real hard time at that time. And this lady says, son, you're gonna travel the world and preach to millions of people. That was a prophecy given to him. And so even though his movie career wasn't that much about preaching, but his movie career, okay, Nicole says, I saw him talking about the interview. I did too. I just saw that just recently on YouTube. I don't remember how I got to that, but I think this weekend or maybe last weekend, I can't remember. Yeah, some lady prophesied. I think Denzel Washington, actually, in my opinion, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, movie star in the world. In my opinion, I love Denzel Washington, and so these last few years, he has been literally doing that because of his movie star career. He is now doing movies, preaching. He's uncompromised. He doesn't pull any punches. He tells people, about getting saved, getting born again. I mean, y'all, it is amazing. That all happened through a personal prophetic word by a lady named Ruth Green and and Denzel Washington's mother's uh, beauty parlor, as they called it back then, because he felt like a failure. He was feeling like a failure. He was feeling like, I'm not going to make it. My GPA is 1.7. That's not good. And he was 16, 17 years old, I think, something like that, 18 maybe. And you're thinking, I'm not gonna do much of anything. I'm gonna be worthless. He's kind of feeling having a bad day. And then this prophetess named Ruth Green, a local woman known in the community for the gift of prophecy, gave him a word. And and it wasn't long after that I think he began to be blessed. The word was, she told him that he would travel the world and preach to millions of people at a time when he was flunking out of college at a 1.7 GPA. I think that's pretty amazing, man. So the initial thought was Washington assumed the prediction meant his reach as an actor would serve him on his platform. which really wasn't what happened. He's acting. Some of his acting, he did a lot of great movies, a lot of great movies. But the spiritual shift happened later in life, particularly after reflecting on his mother's passing and his own prayer life. He noted that his global reach and public sharing of his faith mirrored the prediction. So he felt called to serve. He has openly stated that his primary purpose is to feed the sheep and serve God rather than focus strictly on Hollywood accolades. Isn't that amazing? I love that. I just saw that just recently. I just thought it was really amazing that the prophetic realm was very involved in my favorite movie star. That's a great example of the value of prophetic words. Yes, isn't it? He was failing and flunking out of school, doing horrible, feeling really bad, feeling kind of like, he didn't have much value. And out of the blue, he was sitting in his mother's uh, beauty parlor, sitting in front of a mirror, and he looked up and noticed that the old lady was looking at him. And she was already known for giving prophecies. And she pointed at him and told him, woo! And he's doing it now. He's literally doing it now. Yeah. So it's amazing. I give a word one time to a guy that we had the guy on our show actually that he would preach to millions of people, which totally shocked me because he didn't even really preach. He was a turned on fire for Jesus person, but he never really. Uh, wow! I just realized something. The guy that I'm talking about is the red heifer guy. Uh, his brother raised the red heifers, and they're brothers. And we've had him on the show here with us, right? So, wow. And he told the story, the red heifer guy told the story about how I prophesied over him in a meeting one time back in when was that? 1985? 1985, maybe 86. I think it's 85 or 86. I prophesied to him in a meeting because I was prophesying to everybody. My pastor would just line up everybody and say, come on up here, you're going to prophesy. And I just start prophesying to people for hours, a long time. And so he was one of them. And he said, Randy, you prophesied to me once. I got to tell you my testimony. You prophesied to me once that I was going to preach to millions of people. And he said, well, that's just crazy because I don't even really preach. I don't really talk in front of people much at all. And he said, I was invited all of a sudden. I don't remember the timing on it. It might have been a year or two later. I can't remember exactly. But he shared it right here. Brian Davenport, the red heifer guy, Brian came right on the show and shared it with you guys that a year or two later, whenever it was, he was invited to go to Africa to be in a meeting. And he's just going to the meeting, right? He's just sitting there. And all of a sudden, the guy who was running the meeting said, come on up here, Brian. I think you got something to say or something like that. He goes up there and he stands on the platform with the microphone. And there were millions of people there. I forget, it might have been, I forget the name of the guy. I think he said the name of the preacher guy, well-known preacher in Africa. And the guy had, I don't know, 2 or 3 million people. I don't remember how many there were. But he said, Randy, that word you gave me came to pass. And then I just thought about this tonight, y'all. He has become known on YouTube, Brian Davenport, as the brother and the guy who brought forth a Jewish, what they call that, a Jewish secret about how that the red heifer, the last red heifer they had in Moses' days, was found by a guy who was a jeweler. Remember that? He was a jeweler back in the days of Moses in that time. And what happened was the Jews who came to check out the red heifer to see, because they were told that every hair was red, but they had to find that for themselves, right? So they came all the way from Israel to their house, and they were in Brian's house and his brothers were across the street. And sure enough, they found a red heifer that had all red hairs, and they were blown away. They couldn't believe it. And so they were talking to Brian, the Jewish people, the rabbis, were talking to Brian about what he did for a living. He said, "Oh, I sell diamonds and that kind of thing." And they laughed and they giggled and they said, "Brian, you're not going to believe this." He said, and they told him the story. You can look it up for yourself. That the last red heifer that they had, that the person that found him or had one, was a jeweler. And Brian went, "No way." And so Brian was telling me that story. I thought, oh my gosh, that's mind-boggling. So now he has probably been talked about by millions, which the word we gave him that he would talk to people or he preached to or share with, several million people. And so I think personally, I just thought about this right now in talking about Denzel, that word more came to pass with the red heifer thing than it did with him standing one time, maybe twice, in front of this crowd in Africa, which had 2 million people or so. I think, wow, that really hit me hard tonight. So that word came to pass for him more on YouTube, with him being known as a jeweler who, like the last man in the days of Moses, had the red heifer or found the red heifer or brought the red heifer to the Jews. His brother had raised a red heifer, but he was very connected to bringing the red heifer to Israel and to the rabbis, because the rabbis were staying with him in his house. And he showed me pictures. Well, I got all the pictures somewhere. And he said, and he's been more known for the fact that he was a jeweler who found the red heifer than anything else. Y'all, I just got that. Do y'all remember hearing that testimony? Anybody remember that when Brian Davenport was on with us? Wow, that is mind-boggling. I'm just, because all of a sudden I stopped from I'm trying to make it really clear tonight about the global economic crash thing manifesting itself literally, physically for the whole world, without trying to come up with inflation this and that plus that equals this, and without even having any real proof that any of it is manifested for sure, because some of it's just seems like it's just under the counter talk. But when I realized this weekend that had happened, I want to talk about that and make that clear tonight. So right in the middle of making all that clear, the Lord brings up to me about Denzel Washington. I remember Denzel Washington. Let's talk about Denzel Washington. He got a prophetic word. And then we're talking about Brian Davenport, who has been on the show, 2 or 3 times. And also his brother, who raised the red heifer, came on the show. Not Bo. Anyway, his brother. And he came on the show also talking to us about that. And so the red heifer thing has made him more well known than that preaching to a couple of million people in Africa when he stood up on the platform. When he told me that word came to pass, he said, "That word came to pass, Randy." I said, "What word?" He said, "You don't remember giving me a word about preaching?" I said, "I vaguely remember that, yeah." He said, "Yeah, you told me I'm going to preach to millions." And so he thought it would be something else, like preaching, but he didn't really preach. So he said, "See, I'm going to receive a great anointing, I guess, or something to preach, because I really don't preach. I share and I talk, but I don't really preach." And so now I realize that it's the red heifer that got him known globally as the guy who all the Jews know him as the guy who was a yeah. Okay, so Nicole remembers. Yes, I remember when Brian Davenport was on. Yeah, and if you go back and listen to those shows, you'll see that what I'm telling you is because he brought that out and shared that prophecy on the show. But we never did put together. Actually, I just put it together just now, that he's got more hits. He's more well known for the red heifer and being the guy with the jewels, because that became a big story. Because you have to realize that the last person who got Israel the red heifer that they needed so they could build the temple was a jeweler. And the Jews he didn't even know that story. The Jews were staying with him, trying to find out what he did for a living. He said, "I'm a jeweler and I sell," and his jewelry business actually started with a guy in Israel, I think a rabbi or something in Israel helped him get started in the diamond business in Israel. I can't remember the exact story on that. It was diamonds or something. Jewels, I don't remember. But anyway, so that was wow. That is it. So when he told them that he sold diamonds for a living, he said, Randy, they just started acting like a bunch of little kids and just giggling and laughing. And they said, let us tell you an old Jewish story. And they started telling him about the last person that got Israel a red heifer was a jeweler, y'all. Look it up for yourself. Look it up for yourself. It's amazing, man. Wow, that just showed me. I'm gonna have to contact him. I haven't talked to him in a while. Uh, yes. Okay, here it is right here. Just all you have to do is Google Rabbi story of the last red heifer being a jeweler. Here it is right here. The classic Talmudic story tells of a non-Jewish jeweler, which Brian is not a Jew; he's a Gentile. Tells a non-Jewish tells of a non-Jewish jeweler named Dama ben Natino who refused to sell precious stones to temple sages because the key was under his sleeping because the key was under his sleeping father. Rewarded for the deep filial piety, a red heifer was born into his herd the next year and sold to the sages for a massive sum. Wow. The sages from Jerusalem sought precious gems for the high priest's breastplate and approached Dama ben Natino, and Dama's father was sleeping directly on the box key, and Dama refused to wake his father despite escalating financial offers. I don't understand that part, but just Google it yourself. The divine reward, because he honored his father and lost the sale, a flawless red heifer was born in his herd the following year. The temple delegation returned and bought the cow, and Dama received the exact fortune he would have made for the original gem sale. Wow. Y'all Google that. The rabbi's story of the last red heifer to Israel was gotten through a jeweler. That's what I just uh, searched on, and it tells you the story and the fact that he was a Gentile. Also, Brian is not a Jew; he's a Gentile. Okay, no, America's not the real Israel. That's uh, that's some bad talk, really bad talk. Okay, so now I've learned that a long time ago. Now, America's not the real Israel. Sorry, I've been through that teaching, and it's just full of holes and not biblical at all. Okay, so very interesting about the red heifer situation. All right, y'all, I'll be right back. Let's play a song tonight. What song are we going to play? Let's play something here. How about um, Ka-ching, Ka-ching? Let's do that one. Ka-ching, Ka-ching. don't see ka-ching anywhere. Okay, we're gonna play ka-ching on this one, and then forget it on the other one. All right, here we go. Ka-ching. Here we go.
I am a victim of my DNA, passed down on me to stay. Looks like gonna have to pay. See the doctor, he asked me the same. Who in the blood we gonna blame? Who in your bloodline died of the same? As I walked out the door, I felt the shame. Mother, she had the same. I called on God, he told me the same. Without the payment, it all remains the same. Jesus said, I'll take the blame, so no one else bears the shame. Come to me to pay. I give it all to all for free. Ka-ching, ka-ching, let freedom ring. Chains are broken, hearts are free. Ka-ching, ka-ching, new life begins. Paid in full for you and me. His blood flows pure and true, making everything brand new. Breaking chains of destiny, setting generations free. Chains are broken, hearts are free. Ka-ching, 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 new life begins. Paid in full for you and me. Ka-ching, ka-ching, let freedom ring. Chains are broken, hearts are free. Ka-ching, ka-ching, new life begins. Paid in full for you and me. Ka-ching, ka-ching, let freedom ring. Chains are broken, hearts are free. Ka-ching, ka-ching, new life begins. I paid in full for you and me. His blood flows pure and true, making everything brand new. Breaking chains of destiny, setting generations free.
We are back. Thank you for being with us tonight. Okay, so anything else you want to talk about tonight? That's really cool. I saw him telling the story in an interview. Okay, that's Denzel Washington. Right. Yeah, that made me think about Brian Davenport and him telling that story. And then I think the reason that I shared that and even got on Denzel is to realize that more so, I think, the word that I gave him back in like in 19 was it 85, 86, maybe 87, somewhere in there. I think it was in 85 because I just got there, hadn't been there too long, and I started prophesying to. My pastor would ask people to come up, and I would prophesy over them. And so I just started doing that, and he came up, and him and his family, and that kind of thing. So yeah, really cool. That made me think about that word, and then I thought, well, now really the word came to pass more with the internet, YouTube, and other things, and the Jewish people. Every Jew, I guarantee you, every Jew in Israel knows about that story now. They all know that story because that is a fact, and which even confirmed more that the red heifer thing that we talked about was the real thing. And even though they had to, I guess they knew the war was going to last long and they would have a red heifer if they didn't do it. They did a fake practice, which really wasn't a practice, really was the real thing of getting the red heifer ashes. They had to do that because I think they knew that this was going to go on maybe for a while. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. There are people who believe that the United States is the real Israel, but it's not the real Israel. I wish it was. That would be cool. I would love for it to be. But my research in the Word and and all that, uh, that no, the United States is going to help Israel, of course, and be friends with Israel, but to be the Israel itself, no. Now, um, in the sense of people being born again and being Israel in their heart, because of the born again experience with Jesus, being Israel in that sense, yeah. But the United States itself and the country being the Israel, no, no. I went through that. It's a very interesting process that I went through personally over a lot of those theories and teachings, and that's very, very interesting for sure. So yeah, that's kind of a. I don't want to get into what that where that takes everything when you get off into America or Israel's replaced. The replacement theology, that's part of what that is the United States becoming Israel, and it can never be, and it is not, never will be. Though, I wish it was. I really do wish it was. That would be really cool, man. We live in Israel, but we don't live in Israel, and you have to really twist the Bible to do that, and I've done my share of that in my lifetime, and had to learn to look at the Word of God through the lens of you know the Word backing up itself instead of backed up by people who say they know. But it's really interesting teaching, but very false. And like I say, I don't think I ever really believed that, but I was leaning toward thinking about it and thought it was an interesting subject. And boy, wouldn't that be nice if that was true? So, and I checked out the book uh, Beyond the Veil that Andrea sent me. Andrea, thank you for sending me that book. Here. Oh, there it is. Here's the book, Visions Beyond the Veil. Very, very interesting. It didn't have anything about Jonah specifically in there, but it did talk about things we've talked about, that there are going to be people that have and do the things that we've spoken about as far as when they reject the message, that God deals with them very heavily if they reject it seriously. So thank you, Andrea, for that. I did an audio. I ended up using it to get an audio going on, audio book, and listen to the whole thing. And so, yeah, it was very cool, a very, very good read. I'm so glad that Andrea sent that to me. And So it did have the basic information in there that there would be a people that would be uh, like those who, if you if they preach the message to you and you totally reject the message, that you would be, messed up, to say the least. So yeah, very interesting story, very interesting book. A lot of really heavy duty information in there, which I thought was really enlightening. And most of the information in that book confirmed almost everything I've talked about. Everything. So yeah, that's one reason I really liked it, is because they talk very specifically about uh, the innumerable amount of people that make it through the Great Tribulation. They talk about those people in this book, and this book was written back in the 20s, I think, right, something like that. 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe the 50s. Long time ago, long before I got born in the natural. So you might want to get it, and uh, so it really talks about everything that I believe. They are not pre-tribulation rapture people. They they talk about a lot of things that I've talked about, uh, and in kind of a different way, but you'll see that it's the same, very very much the same. It's like I feel like I wrote this book sometime, and I've never read it in my life. It's very interesting. It seems like I've heard the name of it before, but I hung out with a group called End Time Handmaidens, a bunch of ladies who have become preachers from their meetings and they do services, that they were always talking about behind the veil. So I don't know whether I heard that from them, just like names of songs behind the veil, but there used to be names of songs called Beyond the Veil. So I can't remember if that's what I heard or what. But either way, the book is really good. I recommend you getting it. I don't buy books. I don't buy Christian books myself. I did buy a book from a friend of mine, from a new friend of mine, a person who has uh, received honors from the United States of America as being well, they honor him in the highest level. And he wrote a book called The Moment That Chose Me, something like that, When the Moment Chose Me. And he took out some terrorists in the United States of America. And he has a book, and I bought that book, but it's not really he's not a fivefold ministry person, and it's not about teaching. It's about his testimony about how God had chosen him to be there at that moment when the terrorists. Uh, okay, Andrea says pre World War II, WW2. Yeah, so it's been around longer than me. But when I listened to the audio book, I read along some of it by the book, but most of it I listened to by audio. So it's really awesome, and it is an amazing book. I have to say, these people have the truth right, and about things. It's really, really, really good. So I recommend it as a read. Maybe you can get a free. I think you can get a free read on Amazon, and then just donate some money to the ministry. That way you don't buy the book, but you help them in their ministry. And so I recommend it. I recommend you getting it, and then getting the free download, and then donate. Whatever God tells you to donate to their ministry to help them out. That's kind of the way I see doing it. So, all right, hang on a second. I'll be right back. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Got somebody sharing about, is America? They think America is the real Israel. That is such a Duke job on, because I used to like I said, I used to listen to this stuff and be open to it, and it's just even then, when I was, unfounded in scripture like I am now, it was kind of way out there. But hey, anything could be, right? And it ended up being just really not good at all, not biblical at all. It's like I think it's demonic, actually, to be honest with you. And so maybe you believe in that. Maybe I just offended you. Well, sorry about that, but I didn't mean to. But I really believe some teachings are just pure demonic. Anytime you change the structure of the Word of God to try to make something work, try to make a piece of the puzzle fit in, and get a hammer and beat it in there and make it work, it just doesn't work. It's very destructive to yourself and to your belief system, and will cause you to miss a lot of things that God's saying and doing, for sure. All right. Anybody else got anything you want to say or share tonight? If not, I'm going to call it a night tonight. It is 9:30, and Mondays has been good. I've explained to you the best I can about the crash, how that all was connected to October the 13th, or the war, even before that, 6 days before that. How it all connects. Those 2 dates connect. And one of them is my birthday, of course, which really connects me to it. October the 4th, the 7th, when the war began. 3 days before that, we bought gold and silver, right? So we can help the world and help the body of Christ and help whoever. And so it's just really amazing. Yeah. So, and then October the 7th, the war, and then the 13th is the date that I got. And then amazingly, on June the 13th, that was kind of cool, 2025, the Iran, for the first time ever, struck Israel with missiles. It was shocking. They're right now preparing for that again. It's all going to be provoked to where Israel ends up striking Iran again. That's what I'm telling Trump that he needs to do in order to, get this thing finished up, and so that we don't have to worry about anything. It's got to be done. Israel has the anointing of the calling of God to do it. So there you go. That's one reason that America is not the real Israel, because even on that particular subject, when Israel struck the supreme leader and 40 of his people, that was a miracle. A miracle. Everybody says that was a miracle. Of course, Trump likes to take credit for it. He likes to. We helped him. We actually did it. And so, hey, whatever. But Israel actually lowered the bomb on them. The boom, the bomb, the bada boom, bada bing, lowered the bada bing on them, and Israel is actually the one that did that. And so that's a sign. That's a sign to Trump that he needs to understand that's the way it is. You can take credit if you want to, and you're doing some amazing things. Yeah, take credit. My gosh, but make sure and give God the glory. Of course, I know you are, and give Israel the right to, which I'm sure you already have that all planned out. I'm sure it's already probably in development. I'm just adding fuel to the fire of letting Israel do that. All right. Nobody has anything else to say tonight? You can talk about anything else. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. We talked about Denzel Washington tonight. One of my favorite. I think he's really my favorite. I have several favorites. He's just so cool, man. Denzel Washington is just like, wow. The dude is amazing. He is the best. I think he's the best. I could be wrong, but at least he's the African American best. I think they even say that he is the best. He's lined up as number one in that. But to me, just the way he is just mind-boggling. The dude is mind-boggling, and we got some great movie stars. Yeah, some great movie stars in competition with that, and he really rides up there really high, in my opinion. He is the greatest. Okay. All right. Nicole responded to that one, and she remembers Brian coming in and talking to us. She may not remember that exact. I remember it because, he was sharing with me, sharing it publicly with our crew about the the fact that I gave him a word when he was not really doing a whole lot of anything but business. You're going to be preaching before millions. You're going to communicate, minister to them, or pray for them, something, whatever the word was. You're going to be talking to them, sharing with them. You're going to stand before millions, something like that. Well, he's done that in two different ways. The main way, I think, is the YouTube, the Gentile who supplied the used to supply the red heifer for Israel. Yeah, that, my friend, is amazing. All right. Video. What video? Video. Oh, there's video of him on YouTube being baptized in the church in 2024. Oh, Denzel. Okay. Denzel was great in the movie Inside Man. Ah, yeah. I don't remember that one exactly, but I'm sure I've watched it. I've watched a lot of his stuff. Really, I have to watch that Inside Man. I may watch that soon. Let me see. Let me see if I've seen that one. It sounds really familiar. Inside Man. Inside Man. Okay. Inside Man. A bank robbery in New York has gotten out of control, and it's up to police detective Keith. Yes, I did see that. I've seen that a couple of times actually. Yeah, that was a good one. That was the bank robbery thing where he goes in. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, I did see that one. Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Yeah, I had seen that actually. So okay. Cool. All right. Start playing some of it just for the fun of it. I think that's his best movie. Oh, really? You think that's his best movie, huh? Great. I have to watch it again to see what I think about that. All right. Awesome. Uh, yeah, he's just really, really good. I mean, he's just so naturally, whatever he's doing it, he's being himself, and yet he's being that character at the same time, whatever the character is. And it, you know, you just can't do it as I don't think anybody does it as well as he does. Though he's got some great close white boys that are competition for him, and there's some great there's actors, Chinese, Vietnamese actors. There are all kinds of actors, uh, European people. But he just really does the best job. All right, I will have to watch that. There's a video of him in a YouTube being baptized in a church in 2024. Yeah, he dedicated himself to the Lord and started. Some of the movies. One of the movies I saw is where the earth it got burned up or something, and only a few people made it, and he was the one chosen to save the Bible. God had chosen him to save the Bible, and he was blind, and he walked for, I don't know, months maybe, to get uh, the only version of the Bible that the world had was what he had. He had the only version of the Bible in the whole world at that time that they knew of, and his job was to live through, walking through, all the corruption of a new world trying to rise up with all kinds of crazy people, heathens and murderers and villains, and he had to make it to I think New York, to where he finally got it there, and they uh, copied his Bible and had a copy of the Bible for the New World. That was very interesting to me. it was a little violent, to say the least. It was some violent stuff, but it was wow. It was because it was about the Word of God, man. I mean, I don't know if he was saved then or getting right with God then. I think he was, but when he did that movie, maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah, Michael Allen says yeah, I think it's a great movie. Yeah, it was a great movie. And he just and there's so many. I mean, there's so many. He just he's just done some amazing stuff. Boy, he can play all kinds of roles, man. He's just really awesome. All right, y'all. I guess that's I don't know what else to talk about tonight. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been on for like an hour and 41 minutes. Not almost 10 o'clock. It's 9:41. That's not almost 10. Um, so I'm ready to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Got something that I can know about it, the subject, or we can find out about the subject. That would be interesting. I hope you were able to understand the connection to the crash threat twice now. And it was a global thing, of course, which makes it more dominant about the Straits of Hormuz. I mean, I never even put that together, y'all, and how it's all connected to 2013, November, October the 13th, 2013. And then, the Israel war. That's how it all got started. That's how the first obvious global manifested working, the market's going crazy up and wow, hitting everybody. That's the first time that's happened that I know of, literally happening, where people were scared that is this going to end? Are we going down? All over the news, everywhere. And all of it was connected to October the 4th, October the 7th, and and then 6 days later, October the 13th. That sounds interesting. I haven't seen that one. I don't know what the name of it is. It's called. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, the Book of Eli. It's called the Book of Eli. Eli. Denzel Washington plays a nomad named Eli, who carries the last surviving copy of the Bible across the ruined post-apocalyptic world. That was in 2010. That was in 2010, so that was before 2024, before he got baptized. So he must have been kind of working on getting ready to rededicate his life, because that was definitely he was clean. He had to kill some people in the movie, but he was clean. He wasn't sexual. He wasn't, foul mouth. He was a very courageous person. He was also, I don't want to tell you too much about it, but yeah, Eli. It's called Eli, the Book of Eli. Yeah, it's it's a very interesting movie on that one for sure. Yes, let me get that up there for you. Eli. Talk about the flat Earth. There's not a flat Earth. It's obvious. Every time somebody goes to the moon, they show that the Earth is not flat. So I'm not sure what you mean by the flat Earth, but I heard you talk about that before. I think somebody's talked about that before. Who's talked about that before? Did anybody talk about that? Maybe it's just maybe I saw it in Google or something, or in yeah. The Earth is not flat; it's round. All right, so I don't have anything to talk about that because it's you know everybody who flies to the moon or all these satellites we have show pictures of the universe and it's not definitely not flat if that's what you mean by it. All right, Nicole says thanks and you're welcome. That's Denzel's book of Eli, where he saves the world. He saves the world's only version of the Bible, of the Word of God, after a apocalyptic, uh, ruined, post apocalyptic world. I'm having a hard time talking with that. Eli, who carries the last surviving copy of the Bible across the ruined post apocalyptic world. Yeah, it's pretty rough, kind of rough, but you have to understand why it's rough. It's because they just had a big, I think the sun got too close to the earth or something and scorched the earth. I don't remember what did it exactly, but the earth is ruined. So a lot of the movie is kind of rough looking because he's traveling through all this, devastation, and the people that survive, some of them are just like murderers and thieves, and you know, and they're just crazy people trying to start the world over again. You can imagine what that's like. And so I don't want to say too much about the movie, but yeah, if you can see it, it's definitely interesting. Yeah, man, this is great. It's been a great night tonight. I got to share my revelation about the crash, and I've never seen that before. That was brand new to me, and how it all actually literally is proven and manifested, and no doubt about it. Not hyper stretching, uh, not hyper stretching the information because it's just right out there for everybody. Okay, Nicole says the bottomless pit is proof that there is no flat Earth. The pit is bottomless because the Earth is round. Oh, okay, interesting. The bottomless pit is discussed in several places in the Bible, including Revelations 20, verse 9 and 10. Well, I think she ought to know since she's a Revelation person. Okay, that makes sense. It's bottomless. So what makes it but the round Earth is how deep? 20,000, 100. How many miles is? So is it bottomless or is it? I mean, I guess I don't understand what bottomless means. If the Earth has if it's round and it has, if it's enclosed in the roundness, how is that bottomless? I guess I don't understand that one. I believe you're right. I know it's bottomless, but the flat Earth. So the flat Earth just proves. So if it was a flat Earth, it wouldn't be a pit at all. It wouldn't be much room for a pit, right? I guess I've never heard of that, the flat Earth thing, so I'm not sure. Sounds interesting though. We can definitely talk about it. You want to talk about it? I don't know anything about it. The flat Earth, the flat Earth belief, flat Earth theory, flat Earth theory. The flat Earth theory is an entirely debunked, uh, pseudo scientific belief that the Earth is a flat, stationary plane or disk rather than a spheric globe. While ancient civilization thousands of years ago initially held this view based on limited physical perspective, humanity has finally established that the Earth is oval, spheroid since classic Greece. Okay, so yeah, satellite imagery shows it more than anything. So that's like, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me. If a person is traveling this is referring to the bottomless pit. If a person is traveling down the earth, once the person hits the center, the person then begins to ascend upward. There's no real bottom, only a center. Oh, wow, Mrs. Scientific Lady. I did not know that. Where did Mr. Flat Earth go? I don't know what to say. It sounds right to me. I did not know that happened, though. That's amazing. So once the person hits, we're talking about the bottomless pit. Uh, okay, so if a person is traveling down the earth, once the person hits the center, the person then begins to ascend upward. There's no real bottom, only a center. So if you come back to the top again, you just go back to the bottom again. I mean, is it circular? I'm not very smart, so I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that. I'm trying to get that in my head. So it's bottomless in the sense that it's that when you hit the quote center, it's not a bottom. It's just the center. That's kind of deep. That's kind of deep. I've never heard that before. I've never heard any of that before. Very interesting, to say the least. Anybody else want to comment on that? Anybody else know anything? I don't know anything about that. That's a brand new one for me. All right. All right. So Nicole says you are correct, Randy. A person would hit the top again. Once you go to the center of the earth, it doesn't end. You go right back up again, but you end up on the other side of the globe. Wow, that's interesting. So it's an eternal thing. It's like a never-ending thing. So when they cast Satan into the abyss, that is an eternal. That's why it's eternal, because it doesn't have a bottom. Uh, yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I've never even thought about any of this stuff before. This is really amazing stuff. Okay, for example, to AI, if you dig straight down the center of the earth from Texas, you will land in the southern Indiana Ocean west of Australia and south of India, Sri Lanka. That's AI saying that too, huh? Wow. Okay, so if you go down to the bottom of the earth, if you go down through the earth, the person travels down to the earth, down the earth. Once the person hits the center of the earth, the person then begins to ascend upwards to the real. So there is no real bottom, only a center. And then she says, for example, according to AI, if you dig straight down the center of the earth from Texas, you will land in the southern Ocean, Indian Ocean, not Indiana, southern Indian Ocean, west of Australia and south of India. Sure, sure. Why can't we do that? Will that be easier than flying? I'm just kidding. Uh, that's interesting. Wow. That is definitely something I've never even thought about in my lifetime. So you just ask AI about that specific information, and that's what it even tells you that. Wow. You land in the southern Indian Ocean, west of Australia, and south of India, Sri Lanka area. Cool. Let's go to Sri Lanka. Everybody, y'all ready to fly? Ready to dig? Man, that might be cheaper than taking a flight if we could get a tunnel. That's really a bad joke. I shouldn't tell about that. That is amazing. Trudy, Trudy. Trudy, for example, yeah, okay, I got that. Okay, so I'll just repeat that again. Really cool. Okay, I've learned something new tonight. I have to look into that one. That is brand new to my understanding, literally. Okay, y'all, this has been cool, man. Israel said it's not going to leave Gaza, which complicates Trump's peace plan. Uh, okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Interesting, y'all. I think that's it for me tonight. Um, I've learned a lot, and it's 10 o'clock, by the way, too. So I hope you've been able to get the information, starting with the crash information that was brand new to me, and then Denzel Washington, and then uh, Brian Davenport. That was a brand new one for me tonight. I'm getting you brand new stuff tonight. Really, really cool. All right. So the individual in the center of the earth are in the temporary hell. They cannot escape. They are there until the great white throne judgment. Okay. Okay. So you're giving a specific example. Nicole says yes to Sri Lanka, that being where you end up if you leave Texas and dig down. Okay, and then she says, I just wanted to give a specific example. The individual in the center of the earth, the individuals in the center of the earth are in temporary hell. They cannot escape. They are there until the great white throne judgment. Really? Heard you talk a little bit about this, a long time ago, but that's very specific information. Wow. Okay, I didn't know you said that. I was fixing to take off, but so that's a temporary hell, and uh, is that where Jesus went to? Is that where Jesus descended to when he was on after he died on the cross? Is that where he went to? Is the center of the earth? I never. Now that we're talking about this, we might as well just go ahead and hit it up with that. All right, I'm waiting for an answer on that. If she gets it, uh, I think the answer would be yes. You would think. Okay, it's talking about the Trump's board of peace. Uh, are having to work hard, figure some new things out. Israel's right wing government and the Board of Peace created by President Trump to implement his Gaza peace plan appeared on a collision course over the future of the enclave. We are coming home. Gaza is ours. National Security Minister Itamar Ben Gvir said he led a demonstration of hundreds of supporters, along with other Israel government ministers and lawmakers, to the northern Gaza border on July the 19th. A number of Israeli officers, without contradiction by Prime Minister Netanyahu, have said that Israel is not leaving Gaza and vowed to reestablish settlements that were dismantled when it agreed to disengage from the enclave more than a decade ago. Wow, the White House officially confirmed that Trump will meet Tuesday with Netanyahu, who is traveling to Washington to attend a memorial service for Lindsey Graham. The meeting is likely to center on Iran and Trump's peace efforts in Lebanon. Trump's Board of Peace has struggled to make progress. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay. Uh, okay. Individuals who go to the center of the earth, it's a temporary hell, cannot leave until the great white throne judgment. The lake of fire is the permanent hell. Okay. That's right. Jesus went to hell and preached. He liberated those in Abraham's bosom. Wow. Interesting. That's some pretty specific information there. I know of some of it in bits and pieces, but not really all together in a puzzle. Putting the puzzle together tonight. Really cool, man. Really, really cool. That's really, really awesome. I'm swatting fruit flies. Got a little problem over here. Okay, interesting. He liberated those in Abraham's bosom, which we know that's in the scripture about the bosom of Abraham. Wow. I'm just glad I'm born again, man. Glad I'm born again. Wow, am I ever. Okay. Some really interesting news tonight. We've gone all over the place, and I love that we've gone different different places. To really make clear about the crash, that it's been a progressive thing since the October 13th, 2023. I understand for the first time myself as of this weekend. All right, y'all. So I'm going to call it a night tonight. Thank you very much for being with us. And thanks to Cole for all the great information. And thanks for the questions. Thanks for the flat earth question. And we talked about Denzel Washington getting his prophetic word. And now he's fulfilling that, not just through movies, but through, actually got, I think Nicole said he got baptized in 2024. And then he is, now doing some ministry somehow or another. And a lot of his movies the last few years have been very much about like the Bible, like the Book of Eli. That was a definite move toward God stuff, in my opinion. When you watch the movie, if you watch it, it's kind of hard to watch in some ways, but it's a really good one about him saving the world. The Bible, that was a good symbolic thing of, yeah. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a night tonight. This has been awesome. All right, good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. And we are going night-night, or go bye-bye, and see you guys tomorrow.